ahead.
Hey guys, we're here with John. He's one of the owners here at the National Videogame Museum here in Frisco. John, can you tell me a little bit about the history of how you started it? Because I remember correctly from the last time I saw you, you started a little collection.
Yep.
And then you bonded with some co-partners.
Right.
And this thing happened here in Texas, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So go ahead and share your little story if you don't mind.
Okay, well, you know, my partners and I were collecting games back in the early 80s, right? Before people thought to save any of this stuff. And it was more than just the games. We wanted to know who wrote the games. And back then, that information was hard to find. And what was going on at these companies and why games didn't come out or changed or whatever. So we started reaching out to some of the people behind the scenes and getting that information. We met up in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, and we started our own convention, one of the first video game conventions. It was called Classic Gaming Expo, and it was in Las Vegas, and we ran that through 99 through about 2012. And during that time, it was around 2004, we went to E3. You know, we had been going there as, you know, media, fanboy type things, and said, hey, would you like us to do an exhibit, an historical exhibit? And they said, sure. So we started doing E3 every year. And first year, our exhibit won a Best of Show award. And it was really great, and people loved it, right? And then we started expanding that. As the museum grew, which was a portion of the show that we did, and we were taking more and more on the road. And we, you know, Game Developer Conference, we've been to PAX East, PAX South, South by Southwest, like I mentioned, E3, some comic shows. Kamikaze was one at the time. And we went to one show called DICE, and we met a gentleman there named Randy Pitchford, who was the head of Gearbox Software. And he loved what we were doing, and he was moving his offices here to Frisco, Texas, and he said, why don't you come down, let's meet up with the city and the mayor and all the different organizations and see maybe there's an opportunity. And they loved the idea. They loved what we pitched to them. We wanted this interactive museum, so it's not just reading. We're not museum guys per se. Like, we find museums often are kind of stuffy and boring unless you're really into the material. And we said it has to be, everywhere you go, you have to be able to touch it and play it. And they loved the idea, and they pitched in and then, you know, spent money to refurbish the building and the parking lot, and that's how we ended up here in Frisco, Texas.
Excellent. Now, I have to ask, being that you started this, you have to have that one favorite video game that you had to have and own currently, and of course you have all this now,
right.
But what's that one that started it all for you?
The one video game, probably, so you basically my favorite video game. I'll give you two, okay?
Sounds cool.
And I'll go console, and I'll also go, you know, arcade.
Right on.
Arcade, gotta be Robotron 2084.
Nice.
Excellent game. I mean, some people are a little intimidated by the two sticks. Once you learn it, it's really, it ramps up nicely. It doesn't get too hard too quick. You know, it's just a perfect balance. On the home systems, I'm going with a computer game called Miner 2049er. And its sequel, Bounty Bob Strikes Back, to me, again, the ultimate platformer. You know, easy pick up and play, gets hard, doesn't get too hard, and it's just a great balance. Just a great game.
Now, when the consoles came out, you know, starting way back in the days, was there one console, or what was your first console that you ever gotten, if you did get one?
So the first one was actually one of these Pong units over here.
Ah.
And we left it, a great story is, you know, Pong had just come out, nobody knew much about it as a consumer, and we put them on, you know, it was on my grandmother's TV in her living room. And we had a habit of walking away once we got tired, and we'd go out and play, but we'd leave the system on. And what happened is it would eventually burn the image into my grandmother's TV, because, you know, we didn't know about color cycling and keeping the image moving back then. And so from that point on, never allowed to play video games at grandma's house again, you know?
Right. So. Yeah, my first game was a Pong too. My grandfather used to work for Hots Electronics. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Sure.
But he brought us kids home this little Pong game, and it looked very similar to this thing right here.
Big Atari Pong.
Yeah, and it was really cool. We got addicted to it. Now, can you tell us a little bit the history about this big Pong and how it became to be?
So Giant Pong, we you know, you can see big steering wheel size controllers and everything. It is fully playable. It was built by a company, a museum design firm, and the programming inside was done by someone at Gearbox Software. His name is Paul Nettle, and completely recreates the original Atari Pong, right? Plays exactly the same. You can see the demo mode up there written by Paul Nettle. We have some help from different people. And what's great about it is the way it's projected on this giant recreation TV screen. You can see, probably can't see it too well, but there's some lighting effects, make it look like a CRT. That's all programmed into the programming itself. Obviously, it's nothing up there. The gearbox and video gets involved.
So this is made specially for the museum.
For us, it's the only one. We think it's the world's largest Pong, although we haven't gotten Guinness in yet to certify.
That'd be cool if you do.
It would be, yeah.
Well, John, thank you for your time. We can go ahead and continue our tour, but I appreciate your time and your help.
My pleasure.
Guys, hang tight. We'll be right back. Hey guys, we got a treat. John's going to give us a tour on how the museum changed up a little bit since the pandemic. Thank you, sir, for that.
Sure.
So what's new in the exhibit museum?
Yeah, well, we used to have an online exhibit that we had where two people could talk through terminals or type messages, and it would send it at the respective speed. So if you wanted to know what it was like to transfer data back in the old days at 300 baud, it took forever, hours, right?
Right.
We had that set up. We took that exhibit out, but we kept those terminals. So I'll show you one of them real quick. And what's cool about it is it goes the length of the museum, and you'll see lights transferring back and forth. So it's a visual representation. When you first come up to the terminal, this is the blue, there's a red one on the other side. You just press a button, and you see the buttons are set up with years and the speeds on the bottom.
All right.
So let's set 93. It'll come up like that, and now you can type a message, right? So if I want to type hello, and if you look up here, you'll see it shoot out of the tube at that speed to the other side, right?
Right.
Now, you can also select, and the background will change. You can select 1979. Now if you type hello, you'll see it's a lot slower as you go.
Oh, okay, because it's technology.
Right, and then today, you can get here, right? And, and boom, it's going to fly.
Okay.
Boom, right? And, again, 86 is in here in different backgrounds. And you can even send a picture. So let's send a picture while standing there.
Okay.
You can see color picture, right? Pretty good
That's cool.
resolution. But if I go to 79 and we take that picture, you can see it's a little blocky, and it's it takes a lot longer to get there.
Gotcha.
So that's one of the fun things that we kept. We always felt that
Awesome.
was a cool thing. But we got a couple other new exhibits I can just touch on real quick for you.
Excellent, thank you.
So this was the online exhibit, and we have a new permanent exhibit coming, but in the meantime we put this temporary exhibit focusing on the game Cheetah Men and the Action 52 cartridge. And these were, Active Enterprises made these. They're pretty rare games for the Nintendo. They're very interesting story as far as the background of how the games were developed, some of the issues with them. And, there's a whole story in there about the money and offshore accounts and, drug cartels and all this other stuff. Yeah. So Cheetah Men, was on the original Action 52 cartridge. They pulled it off. They made Cheetah Men 2, and it was going to be marketed as this next big thing, Saturday morning cartoons. It was the next Ninja Turtles. They thought. And comic books and things, and you can see some of the artwork and things like that, and character sketches. Unfortunately, it just never came to be the way they planned it.
And how'd you acquire all that?
This is actually on loan from a local gentleman who has most of the stuff for Cheetah Men Action 52.
That's cool.
Yeah. So this is our virtual reality exhibit. Right now, like I mentioned, because of the pandemic, the interactive portions are closed.
Understandable.
Putting on a helmet or pushing your face against the screen for like Battlezone or the Virtual Boy is a little too much to ask for people right now. But you can see there's a lot of cool things. We have an original prototype of the Power Glove, which is the first time this has ever been shown. In the back, yeah.
Wow, is this part of your collection?
It is, yeah. Part of the museum's collection. First time it's ever been seen on public display. Really cool, Power Glove was so iconic.
Wow, that is awesome.
And this is all about, so, when we talk about virtual reality, we talk anything that puts you more into a game. It's not always a helmet, right? If you're using a Wii and you're doing Wii bowling or tennis, right?
Right.
It's kind of virtual reality. It's bringing you more into realism or, into the game. One of my favorites, of course, is the Mind Link, because I'm a big Atari guy.
Did that really work?
It did not. That's why it's in our case. And the Mind Link was going to read your brain waves, so you just think, left, and you'd go left, and of course, didn't really work that way.
Concept was cool, but unfortunately.
Exactly. And there are several prototypes. This is the only finished mock-up that there is.
Wow. And how did you acquire that? Was just
over the years, like I said, we collected a lot of stuff when people didn't think to save things, and it wasn't that expensive to get them, so
right on.
we were fortunate in that respect.
That's cool.
The last new exhibit we just set up is it's only actually been up for about a month now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Donkey Kong Country with a little history of Donkey Kong mixed in and some of the other games in the
nice.
era. And what's cool about this particular exhibit, it's a rotating exhibit, so we highlight local collectors.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always our stuff. In fact, the bigger portion of it belongs to other people, and we supplement with a few items from our stuff. But we found this is really cool to showcase people who have these specialized collections. Look, we have a great collection, but we don't have everything, right?
Right.
So there's all these collectors out there that have these, like before Donkey Kong Country, we had a guy who just collected Sega Channel. Right?
Wow.
Everything to do with Sega Channel. Before him, it was a guy who collected movie props from that terrible Super Mario Brothers movie in 1993, right? Mm-hmm. We had the dress and animatronic Goomba heads and all kinds of stuff. And the first one we did was a guy who had Alien stuff, and it had every video game, computer game related to Alien, a bunch of statues. So like I said, this just started. This is going to run till January. Mm-hmm. But if you're in the area, come check out this cool Donkey Kong collection. A lot of cool stuff, one of a kinds, or very few, in existence. And of course, you get to play the Donkey Kong Country competition cartridge, right?
Oh, it is a competition cartridge?
Yeah, just like the old days. It is a reproduction, but obviously we wouldn't put the real one out. But,
right.
But you can test your skills just like you would a Blockbuster back in the day. And how many points can you get in 5 minutes? So,
I remember that.
it's great. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, I'll be putting a link below with your phone number, the website, so people can know exactly where to find you.
Appreciate it.
And once again, I appreciate this personal tour for the Collector Zone.
Yep.
John,
My
thank you
pleasure.
so kindly much. And guys, we'll go ahead and continue the tour.
Thanks.